Well, good morning. It's Deep South Dining right here on MPB Think Radio. Malcolm White here with my skillet buddy, Carol Palmer. Good morning, Carol.
Hey, Mal, how are you?
Got to get your ears on.
think I got my ears on.
Okay.
Being a skillet buddy, let me tell you how many skillets I've been cleaning.
Yeah. You had a crowd, did you?
I did. I had 33 for lunch, but I had 18 lovely family members stay for a few days, and there were just a lot of stuff going in the skillets.
Have you gotten them to leave yet, or are they still out there?
Everybody's gone.
Okay.
We've slowed down, kind of in a little food coma.
Well, we were so happy. We were invited over to Ben and Megan Brock's house, and those are some of Vivian's cousins, some of Mama Zita's people. They invited us over. They were very kind, and we had a gigantic feed, a Thanksgiving Day feed, with Zita Webb and the grandkids and all of the extended Piggott family. And Kara and I are most appreciative for being invited, and the food was fabulous. We took 3 dishes. We took the crab meat stuffing.
Which, by the way, was gorgeous. I saw it on Cooking and Coping.
And as I was telling you...
Bravo, sir.
Oh, thank you. It turned out well. And I'll talk about that in just a second. But we also took Armenian green beans and some whipped potatoes, creamed potatoes. And I made the dressing or stuffing, and Kara made the beans. And the potatoes in it was really great. But they had one dish. Well, all the dishes were fabulous. But the one dish that really was nostalgic for me was there was a rum cake. And Mama Zita used to make this fabulous rum cake. And the older she got, the more rum there would be on the cake. Toward the end there, it was like a whole pint of rum. But this was a really, again, reflective, nostalgic. When I bit into it, I thought immediately of her. And actually, the stuffing is a homage to her as well, because she grew up north. And as many people know, the controversy between dressing and stuffing really is both geographical and technical. And here's the way. The people in the South refer to it as dressing, and people in the North refer to it as stuffing. And in fact, they did a survey in 2015. Butterball commissioned a survey and found that the majority of Americans refer to it as stuffing, and only the people in the South, sort of Texas to Florida, but even closer to like Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, refer to it as dressing. And then, of course, that's the sort of geographic piece. The technical piece is, technically, it's dressing, and the part that goes inside the cavity of the turkey is stuffing.
Because you are stuffing it.
There you go.
You're stuffing it up in there.
But I prefer to call mine stuffing, because the style of the sort of cut up breadcrumbs, sort of rustic, not creamed, not like spoon bread, not soft and creamy, like maybe the one you made. I know that's the one Tim makes. His mother made the soft, and I think of it as spoon bread. But anyway, this was more of the type I made is more rustic, and the bread is still intact. The crab meat's intact. But anyway, it was a lot of fun. So this morning I was typing it out because a couple people asked me for the recipe. And as I was typing out the herbs, it dawned on me that I use parsley, sage, rosemary, and thyme.
You know, you could write a song about that.
We're a little late. So because of that, I named it Scarborough Fair stuffing. So,
and you heard it here on Deep South Dining, and forevermore this recipe will be known.
Yes. And let's talk about the love of leftovers.
Well, can we talk about Armenian green beans before that?
Can.
Well, I saw your Armenian green beans, and I saw there were several comments. So,
right. Well,
speak to us.
Well, this is Kara's family's. Kara's grandmother, as you know, because I've brought the book and we've talked about it on the air. She wrote a recipe book of Armenian dishes, and she made these green beans with onions and tomatoes in them. And we call them Armenian green beans, but someone posted on Cooking and Coping that our Armenian green beans were their Greek green beans. To which I would say, I remember seeing them in Greece, and I've seen them in Italy, if I'm not mistaken. So I now think of them as Mediterranean green beans.
And you've seen them at Derek Emerson's new restaurant,
You know
Sacred
why?
Ground.
Because of Effie. Effie, that's Effie's recipe, and she is from Greek heritage. And so she came up with that, and that's why they have them at Sacred Ground.
And then I love what you did with your leftovers. You did the usual Malcolm White thing. You just threw it all together and made a leftover mash.
Love it.
Yeah, it was gorgeous. So many people did fabulous things with leftovers.
And I even added a little chicken enchilada to mine.
Well, I saw that.
That was Kara made that dish for me sort of for the holiday weekend, though we didn't serve it on Thanksgiving Day. I ate it all through the Thanksgiving holiday, and I had a little bit left. And I really liked it with the dressing and the green beans. It was really nice. And then someone wrote on Cooking and Coping, how brilliant to add chicken enchiladas. We always have chicken enchiladas at Thanksgiving. And I thought, well, there you go.
There you go.
Who knew?
Well, our Facebook page, Cooking and Coping, was just alive over Thanksgiving. And, there was so much. But one thing I really loved was yesterday, Jen Folks, who is one of our, she's listed as a rising contributor, did a turkey dinner pie. Okay, you have to picture this. It's like in a deep dish lasagna pan. It's rectangular and deep with the most gorgeous crust crushed
turkey.
It's the gorgeous crust you've ever seen. And inside it is like the turkey dinner.
Yeah,
I'm talking turkey, cranberry, mac and cheese.
Dressing.
It looks like just this gorgeous giant
Stuffing.
pot pie. Yeah, stuffing. And it's all in there.
Yeah.
And it's absolutely fabulous.
And we saw a multitude of turkey gumbos.
Right.
Where people use the carcass, use the leftover meat, made the either turkey andouille or turkey this, turkey that. But lots of gumbos.
That's my
came from
week
the
this week.
leftovers.
I'm making the one that April McGregor. Our friend April from Philadelphia by way of Vardaman, Mississippi.
That's right.
But hers has been published. I can't remember what magazine, but look, Malcolm, I have it right here so I can go shopping after we leave the show. And oh my goodness, the dressing waffles.
A lot of that.
A lot of that. Rusty Burwell up in Virginia, who was originally from Jackson, did a beautiful one. And Leanne Galtz is just...
She's always showing out.
Yeah.
Leanne Galt. I mean, she's the queen of the Instagram and the Cooking and Coping Facebook page. Where would we be without Leanne Galt?
Well, I guess we're going to just get over Thanksgiving for once and for all.
I hate to leave it, but I guess
it's
time. I'm sure our listeners are probably done with Thanksgiving.
And they're probably tired of us talking about dressing.
Yeah. Well, we're only using one segment to talk about Thanksgiving.
It's like they're sick of us talking about mayonnaise.
In fact, Carol, the rest of the show will be devoted to what?
We're going to talk about wild game.
Wild game. Something we don't get to very often.
Yeah, we have a wild woman coming to talk about
wild woman from Greenwood who's going to talk about wild game and other things. I bet you she's got some leftover stories as well.
And I'm really hoping we can get a conversation going because it's all of the hunters out in our universe do such wonderful creative things, and you don't find them in cookbooks, and you don't see them on television shows.
You see them in here.
On YouTube. This is the 50-pound cookbook I brought in from John Foltz. So I take that back. There's a whole chapter on squirrel.
There's an entire chapter on squirrel.
But I really want to hear, from some people what they're doing this hunting season.
Well, I'm trying not to drop John's book on my foot
You'll
because it
kill
could break
yourself.
it. All right, so when we come back, we're going to take a short break. When we come back, we're going to talk about Wild game, hunting season, bag limits. We've checked in with the Mississippi Department of Wildlife, Fisheries, and Parks. We're going to have a very special guest who knows a little bit about this and a million other things, I might add. But we'll be happy to take your calls, 1-877-672-7464, or if you want to shoot us an email, you can do that to food@mpbonline.org. And as a reminder, we are also broadcasting live on Mississippi Public Broadcasting's YouTube channel. If you want to see Carol this morning, see how she looks great, and see some of our in-studio activities, you can dial us up on YouTube. All right, so we're going to take a short break. When we come back, we're going to have Chef Taylor Bowen Ricketts join us from Greenwood. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Deep South Dining. We're right here on MPB Think Radio. We're so glad you have joined us this morning. Carol Palmer, Malcolm White, and we're going to take a quick call and then go to our special guest. We've got Kevin from South Carolina on the phone. Kevin, what's cooking, my friend?
Oh, gosh, everything and everything. How y'all doing?
Doing great.
We're good, Kevin.
Good, glad to hear it. Hey, I just wanted to chime in on the Thanksgiving leftover front real quick, so I got another meeting to run to. But let me tell you, the traditional turkey, cranberry sauce, stuffing makes one of the best sandwiches you will ever have.
You ain't kidding.
I'm hungry for it now.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of that. That's a great leftover idea, the sandwich, the Thanksgiving sandwich.
Particularly if you've got some gravy to dip that sucker in. Oh, man, life-changing.
Then it becomes like a French dip.
A
French dip a la giblet gravy. I don't know. I think it's great.
Well, I mean, it makes a lot of sense to me. I mean, it does kind of pose as a French dip, but it's like the most American sandwich you've ever seen in your life.
Very American indeed. Well, Kevin, thanks for listening.
All right, well, hey, y'all have a good one.
Thank you
and
always.
have a good sandwich at lunch today, Kevin.
That's right. Enjoy every sandwich, as they say. All right, we're going to welcome James Beard Award-winning semifinalist and I think several times over, and our great friend and chef owner of Fan and Johnny's in Greenwood, Mississippi, the one and only Taylor Bowen Ricketts. Hello, Chef Taylor Bowen Ricketts. How are you?
Good. How are y'all doing?
We're
Can
great.
You hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, we can hear you. We are so happy to be with you this morning. We've been talking about it for a while that we've missed having you on.
Oh, well, I miss y'all. I'm out here in the Mississippi Delta, and it's I feel like it might as well be China some days, especially when I'm not connected technically to the world. It's really is a wild place.
Well, tell us about your Thanksgiving, and what was it like for the busman's holiday, or did you have to cook even when you weren't in the restaurant?
No, I had a great time. We went up to Oxford to my grandmother, who is 101 years old. She hosted us
Is this
at her
Marianne
house.
Bowen?
It is Marianne Bowen.
Oh my goodness, she was one of the teachers in my high school, one of the most fabulous women that alive. That is wonderful.
Let me tell you, she's still alive. She's kicking, and we all gathered. There were about 45 of us, and we gathered and had a traditional meal, and all I had to do was some oyster dressing, which is what I like to do. Not stuffing, but the dressing.
Do you use cornbread in this?
I do cornbread, but I have started the last couple of years adding a little bit of French bread to it just to lighten it up a little bit.
Yeah.
I used to be real hardcore cornbread, but at that point I added a little bit of Wonder to my cornbread, and now I just go straight up.
I also add some saltine crackers. I think it makes for an interesting.
Yeah, I think
body.
about the saltine sometimes, but I steer clear of pretty much all processed foods, and I don't do the saltines. Even though when I do a saltine and come back.
The quintessential redneck hors d'oeuvre.
I have to be careful. Yes.
Nothing like saltine and comeback sauce. There's just, nothing beats it. But my oyster dressing was a little too liquidy this time. I used French bread, and I made a note of my recipe. That
but you and,
not to do that.
But you and Tim kept talking about keep it wet, keep it moist, and I think you maybe...
I may have gone a little too far. It was much better, the second day. But when a recipe says 8 cups of French bread, I mean, is that like packed down or fluffy or? I should have just eyeballed it, but it was good.
Good. John was happy. Finally,
everybody was happy. I would have liked to have Taylor's oyster dressing.
Yeah, me too.
Well, you've got to keep it. Better wet than dry, and you can always, if it's too wet, like you said, the next day it'll be even better.
So with 40-something people, did everybody bring something?
Stock.
Not everybody. No, there was something that squeaked through there with just being there was enough, and that was perfectly fine.
Some people just showed up with an appetite.
Yes, and let me tell you, there's always so much left over. And then, I can't do it more than just the one day. I had to go straight to lasagna. I mean, I couldn't, I can't do it.
Just once.
Food is everywhere all the time and nowhere when you need it.
So you're opening Fan and Johnny's restaurant back this morning, and what does one cook after Thanksgiving?
Well, I'm sitting here with my little book right now that I write all my specials in, and I don't know how it happens. Certain days we have certain things, and today we're going to have mulligatawny, which is one of my favorite soups that we do, and it's the curried, chicken vegetable.
And what'd you call it again, Taylor?
Mulligatawny.
Mulligatawny.
It's kind of a, spicy, creamy vegetable soup with chicken, but you can also use beef or venison, or I've done it with quail before. I mean, you can leave the meat out completely. It doesn't have to be. It can be there's very loose lines in this one.
Well, it's just so much fun to say mulligatawny. Yeah. Yes, I'm making mulligatawny soup today. It's of Indian origin,
Right, right. But I still feel like I should have boots on when I make it.
Well, Taylor, your cooking repertoire is very global. I mean, you're always stepping into another world with this or that dish. Your palate and your pantry are very international.
Well, they are. But when people ask me the loaded question, what kind of food do you have at your restaurant? I have no idea what to say, but I think it is Southern food, but there's a global influence, just like there is here in the Delta. There's lots of different immigrants that have come here and created a kind of a global environment. If you really want to get romantic with it, but I appreciate uh, different foods from everywhere because just like you were saying about the green beans, there's there's a version of those green beans in every nation, everywhere. And just like there's a chicken soup in pretty much every country. And it's just all about the seasonings and the spices and how you choose them to intermingle and what you want to it's just so easy to switch the flavors with different spices that, well, not easy, but it is, there's a form of simple home style cooking in each country that really has similarities. And
Well,
it
it's
all
like a
comes back,
rice dish, like a
right,
paella or a jambalaya. I mean, almost every culture has that, that dish, and you can change up the seasonings and think you're in a whole different world.
right, right. And that's because if you go back to the simple basics of cooking, it's all pretty much the same. You've got your fats, your proteins, your grains, your vegetables, just whatever you have in your area, and those spices that go with it.
Now,
It's fascinating.
it really is. Now, you change your menu up daily, quarterly, week. How often? Whenever you feel
It's
like
so
it?
no, yeah, no, it's so stupid. It's every day. But there's a good portion of the menu that stays the same.
So it's
Um,
daily. It changes daily.
and then on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday when we're open for dinner, it changes twice a day. So we I really have a stupid inventory. It's way too much, but it's all basic foods, just like I was saying. And so we have that ability to um, have that variety. And in this small town, fortunately and thankfully, I've got some customers that come more than once a week, sometimes more than once a day. And they don't want to eat the same thing every day. So that is why I back that up and I back my selfishness up with that very small fact.
Well, that's an
But
important fact.
Well, Taylor, there's not one thing stupid about you, your pantry, or your food, but Malcolm, when
or
you're asking when she
complicated.
does it
Complicated.
this
Okay.
incredibly creative person, she couldn't have a restaurant if she had to make the same thing every day.
No.
And
No,
so much is
there's
driven.
no
And
way.
Taylor, I mean, this has been my experience from working with you for years. It's driven by how you feel, what you're thinking, maybe what movie you saw the night before on your, computer, or a
Yeah.
song you were listening to. I mean, and that's what's so much fun about coming to Fan and Johnny's is looking to see what that special is because you know it's going to have big flavor.
It's going to have big flavor. It's going to be healthy.
Yep.
It's going to be original. Yeah. It's often from the mind of Taylor of that morning. And maybe it's an old family recipe, but it could be a recipe that she just concocted.
You know, the word you said, original, is really a good word for Taylor.
Well,
absolutely.
Lately I've really been exploring traditional, because, I think this world is so complex now, and I think we all kind of feel the need for some extra comfort sometime, and so I traditional comfort food, that type menu items, I feel like have been appearing lately more and more, because I feel like food is one of the most direct ways to give comfort to people when they need it.
Yeah.
And so, like today, with the soup, we're going to do a fried chicken noodle bowl. I mean, who doesn't like fried chicken?
Now we can still drive to Greenwood. We can be there.
What's in the bowl besides the fried chicken?
Oh, well.
Or are you just looking around trying to find something to put in there?
No, well, I can't decide if I want to go like carbonara, like peas, bacon in the noodles, or if I want to go more Asian.
You do a lot of Asian. You do a lot of Asian.
Yes, I love that food because it's all, well, lots of it. Not so much this fried rice or something like that, but it's clean, and I like that way of eating myself. And it's simple. And as I grow older, finally, at long last, I do try to find small ways to simplify things. And I don't know, I just, every day I get smarter. Yet.
And you get smarter and we eat better.
Yeah.
So if you're within our voice in the radio signal here and you're near Greenwood, you're literally listening to what you could eat if you drove to Greenwood to Fan and Johnny's for lunch.
And many people do drive a very long way.
It's the Delta way.
Just to sit at Taylor's table.
It's the Delta way.
It's
all right.
fun. We try to make it fun too.
Yeah, and everything is like, how far is it to Indianola? Oh, that's 2 cocktails. Well, how far is it to Cleveland? Oh, well, that's 3 cocktails. But anyway, we're going to take a break. We said we were going to talk about wild game. So
and we will.
In the next segment, we're going to get into all that. Although Taylor did mention quail.
She did.
In the conversation.
And she also has alligator bites on her menu.
And if I'm not mistaken, she used to or still does do some cooking at a hunting camp. So she's got that experience. So for our hunter, fisher, gatherers, the next segment is all about you. So we're going to take a short break. I'll be back with Taylor Bowen Ricketts, chef of Fan and Johnny's in Greenwood, and an outstanding and very versatile original cook, chef, call it what you will. So we'll take a short break. We'll be right back. If you want to join the conversation, we'd love to hear from you. If you just want to watch us on TV, well, you can do that. We'll be right back with more Deep South Dining. Welcome back to Deep South Dining right here on MPB Think Radio. Carol Palmer, Malcolm White, and Chef Taylor Bowen Ricketts from Fan and Johnny's in Greenwood, Mississippi. Welcome back, Taylor. We are delighted to have you.
Well, I'm glad to be here.
So we promised that we talk about wild game, and I know you have a good bit of experience in that arena. I don't. I've done a lot of cooking of fishes that I have gathered, but not much wild game, not much of a hunter. But man is our part of the world. So
yeah, and you are just up in the epicenter of it. And I know, Taylor, where you are, everybody knows that duck season opened on Thanksgiving Day. It actually closed yesterday and opens again this weekend, but I know there's high excitement up there about the ducks.
It's there, you see an influx of people that kind of skirt around town, coming in and out of the woods. And I've got a neighbor actually from Memphis that they have a house a couple doors down that they come for the hunting season and holidays. And really, there's people that love it here because it is very magical. It wooed me and sucked me in, and it does it to other people as well. And we've got a couple of months of great weather and fishing and hunting. Not so much fishing, but and lots of people coming in.
So again, Greenwood's kind of the epicenter of all these duck camps. People from all over the country may have camps here that they come to, and they come to your restaurant and flood downtown Greenwood for these months.
That's right. Yeah. And, a lot of the locals around here too enjoy the sport, and it kind of goes with the territory of it's such an agricultural community up here around this area. We I do get to see it. I'm not a hunter. I'm more of a gatherer, but I do get to cook a whole lot of game, either for I work at a hunting camp during this duck season and hunting season, either for them or for, like, I've got 3 guys that I cook for that every year for their birthdays, and they want quail. And so they bring me quail and they say, fry half of it, traditionally with rice and gravy, biscuits. They want that, and which is no fail. You can't. That's your go-to. If you're not a game person really, and you just happen to have it, and somebody said, "Oh, here, try this," just fry it. Just fry it.
Well, let's stop and talk about quail for a minute. We cooked quail this weekend too, so I want to know from you, what do you do to keep the quail moist, whether you're frying it or tell us a little bit about your seasoning process and what you did to keep it moist.
Well, I'll start with buttermilk for pretty much any game, quail or venison or elk or pheasant, whatever. Just to, I don't know if it's a Southern thing, but I feel like it really helps, not only tenderize, but just help release the wild and start to get it ready for whatever your next seasoning's going to be with it. And sometimes I just rinse it and start and go directly from there, but then you can also rinse it and then marinate it in whatever way.
You mean you're rinsing off the buttermilk?
The buttermilk, yes.
How long do you typically soak in buttermilk?
Anywhere from an hour to 24 hours, depending on what it is. and how, and then what you're going to do with it next, and how large the meat is. Like if it's a whole chunk of some venison, you'd want to leave it in there a good bit longer.
So you marinate
but if it's just quail,
you marinate venison in buttermilk also?
yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now, what about duck? Since it's duck season, what are some of your favorite dishes or recipes for duck?
Well, I like to, there again, the traditional recipes are usually my go-tos, because these are people that don't necessarily eat wild game all the time. You've got some of these hunters up here, and they come and they eat everything they kill, and they have food for 6 months or a year, whatever. They want to have it, and other people are it's kind of a novelty for them. If like some people like it but don't want to eat it every day.
Mm-hmm.
And so I tend to stick more traditional gumbos and venison fillets, steaks, and I like to do jambalaya sometimes with quail. That is pretty friendly. The duck, I like. There's duck. I do the oyster biscuits with the oysters and the bacon scallion gravy cream. It's a cream gravy.
Right.
I'll do that with duck as well.
And stew the duck?
Well, I confit the duck.
Confit, okay.
Okay, explain confit. Tell our listeners what you're doing to that duck.
Okay. Well, I soak it in buttermilk, rinse it, and then poach it in butter and salt and pepper for about 3 hours, 4 hours at about 220, 225, and it just falls right apart. And then you can do a whole lot more with it. I've even made meatballs with it at that point, or arancini. You can stuff it in different, you can make stuffed peppers, but it's not so, it's more like you could do barbecue, like a shredded duck with a barbecue sauce. It's really easy at that point to make more friendly applications. Mm-hmm. You could make a bolognese with it even.
Oh man, that sounds good.
Mm-hmm.
Well, duck poppers are a real hunting camp favorite.
Go-to.
Yeah. Do you do duck poppers for your hunting camp?
Yeah, and sometimes I'll do, like, instead of bacon, I'll use prosciutto, and instead of cream cheese, I'll switch the cheese up and do brie or blue cheese maybe, and a dried fruit, and maybe even a pecan in there with it, and just kind of experiment with different flavors. I like the sweet with the duck a lot when I do the poppers, but the traditional, cream cheese and jalapeno and bacon is the crowd pleaser.
And you wrap it in bacon and then broil it. Is that what you would call it?
Yeah, or grill it.
You can grill it, yeah.
But with duck recipes, you use a lot of sweet sauces or sweet flavor, like fruit, like pepper or pineapple, or like a banana pepper with the duck popper to add a little sweetness.
Candied jalapenos. I love candied jalapenos.
Yep. Well, we hunt a lot of rabbit around here too, and I know that I've personally eaten some of your rabbit dishes. So talk a little bit about Rabbit World.
Well, I I don't know if you had it once here, but I love to roast them whole and do it as like a family style shared, present it at the table and maybe even stuff it. But we sold rabbit tenderloin. I think we had that on the menu at one point a while, many, many years ago. And I don't remember what we did it with, but I'm pretty sure it was something like just mashed potatoes and some kind of beurre blanc. But rabbit is a little bit harder to do because it's so tough. I mean, and there's so little meat on it.
Yeah.
There's the tenderloins are about the best part of it, I think.
What about
rabbit?
Go ahead.
I need to revisit that actually. Now that you bring that up,
well, I remember a rabbit and gnocchi dish that you did as an appetizer. It was really good too.
I think what we did there was we confit that very similar to the way you would the duck. And it just, because then the meat just is so tender and falls apart, and there's no tough at all.
What about dove? Do you cook dove very often?
No, dove is, yeah. I mean, every now and then I'll do a dove dinner. Though some of the local guys will bring a whole bunch and invite their friends maybe on a night that we're not open, and we'll do a dove dinner, and I'll do 4 or 5 courses of different ways, I mean, and it's not complicated, fried, grilled. There again, everybody simple. You can't beat it, and I've tried to beat it for many, many years, but you really can't.
Well, I was looking at this,
especially when it comes to groups of people.
Right. I was looking at this list of migratory game birds that Mississippi regulates, and there were a couple that just that confused me. For example, snipe. Have you ever cooked a snipe?
No.
On this list they have crows. Who on earth eats a crow?
No, I don't know. But my coworkers here talk about coon, and I think that's where I would probably draw the line.
Raccoon?
Yes. But
they're possum season too.
And raccoon season.
We're just going wild.
Yeah. But you know what? I've heard that it's really good, and you stew it just much like you would a goat, and you make the gravy, onion gravy. It's said, and rice. And I don't know. I mean, I would try it, but I don't think I could go through the process of cooking it. I'd have to just see it and eat it, and not. Something about the raccoon.
Yeah, I can't really wrap my head around that. But I don't have any judgment about others. You know that frog season? Either. Do you know that frog season is April the 1st through September the 30th? And you can bag 25 frogs a night.
Yes, I do.
Let's do it.
I do.
You know that.
I do. And there's people that do that, and I don't cook those, but we sell frog legs. We have those on the menu, but they are not.
They're farm
we
raised.
Can't go.
Of course not. You can't.
You're
can't
not going.
Sell wild.
You're not going it down to the river to.
No, but I think about how much money I could save if I could.
Maybe we should amend these laws.
That's what they used to do, right?
In the good old days.
We had a little squirrel conversation a few weeks ago, and I brought this giant 50-pound John Foltz
After the Hunt
cookbook just to show Malcolm the squirrel recipes, and there's Brunswick squirrel stew, but the one
There's squirrel and
squirrel
dumpling.
pot pie,
Squirrel pot pie.
squirrel and dumpling, squirrel jambalaya. But what I really love is sherried squirrel. It sounds a little
So sophisticated.
a little French and sophisticated. but there are a lot of people in our world. Here's cranberry braised raccoon.
There you go.
There you go.
Do you ever
There
cook
you
squirrel, Taylor?
No, I do not, and have not ever. But I would, because I think it's about like rabbit.
Just smaller, yeah.
Okay, and I'm going to put the book down, but one more, y'all.
Go ahead.
Fricassee of possum.
Oh yeah. Well, all those he's pretty like European. I mean, he's
Right.
a European chef, and all those countries really embrace game.
Yep.
And that would make sense.
John
He would be
Folks grew up in the swamps. I mean, his father was a trapper. That was what was on his birth certificate. So all the things in this book, in his book, like possum and nutria, I mean, they literally ate what they killed.
Yeah. I don't know if the nutria, no way.
That's pretty weird. We just got a text from our good friend Pippa Perry Jackson, and she let us know that they're making, she volunteers with a group of inmates. I think it's at a women's prison near here, and they're making swamp soup. It's a Louisiana thing, and she said you take the leftover turkey carcass and then add turnip greens, mustard greens, and other vegetables, and turkey stock. It just everything to put in there. So that's what she's doing today.
That sounds delicious.
So Taylor, tell our listeners a little bit about Fan and Johnny's. We got a few minutes left, about what your hours of operation are. I'm not going to ask you what kind of restaurant it is, because we know. But just tell our people a little bit about your operation.
Okay. Well, we are here weekdays from 11 to 2, and Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday nights from 6 to 9. We have something for everybody, no matter what you're looking for. It's BYOB. You have to bring your own. We have beer, but you have to bring your own wine and liquor. And people do, it's, we've got, I don't know. That's
How long have you been there as Fan and Johnny's? I know you had another restaurant.
Yeah. We've been here, I've been here as Fan and Johnny's since 2016. Can't believe it's been that long, but it has. And then before that, we were Delta Bistro here for 10, 12 years before that.
But you've been offering the public food in Greenwood now for almost, 20, 25 years?
No, I think I moved here in 2005.
Okay.
I think. And
pretty close to it.
Pretty close to it. Carol, this Friday is the Christmas parade.
Oh boy!
That's a Mississippi tradition. It is a big deal.
I remember coming one year, and when you had the apartment, Carol.
Yeah.
And we stayed, and we had the Christmas parade.
And right on the parade route, I was very, very popular. But I
You
talked
were.
to people from all over Mississippi who went to, whether it's Boonville or McGee or Hattiesburg, that came up on buses to march in the Greenwood Christmas parade.
It's great.
It's a big deal.
It's really something. And then they have a big fireworks display afterwards, and it's pretty magical.
I imagine that's a very busy day for Fan and Johnny's. Close to the
this Friday is an extremely busy day. We do have people like to come here on that night because they can see the fireworks from the river, which is right in front of the restaurant. And but I also have to do a rehearsal dinner for 100 people and another
boy.
because we do we do some catering too, and so it's going to be a pretty busy day.
Well,
Well,
as
we're going
most
to
days
come
are.
eat with you
Yeah,
soon.
we're coming soon. We are so grateful
Yeah.
that you joined us
Yes,
this morning.
thank you, Taylor.
It's
Well, thank you. I'm glad to talk to y'all, and hope your holiday season is a blast.
yeah, you too, and keep on keeping on. I think your place is magnificent. I love your food. It's so creative and so much fun and so tasty, I must say.
Oh, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
All right.
I've got a great team.
You do have a great team, and you've had people with you for a very long time, right?
Yes, very long time.
All right.
Long time. Couldn't do it otherwise.
We thank you so much for joining us today. This is Deep South Dining. We are a production of Mississippi Public Broadcasting's Think Radio. We are funded by the generous contributions from folks like yourself, and we sure do thank you. Our show is produced by Marissa Vaughn. For our special guest, Taylor Bowen Ricketts, and my co-host, Carol Palmer, I'm Malcolm White. We ask that you now hang around for Marshall Ramsey's program, Now You're Talking, followed by Southern Remedy at 11, and we say please join us every Sunday and every Monday at 9 a.m. for more Deep South Dining, heard right here on MPB Think Radio.